1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's what this thing says. That's what Abraham Lincoln says. What's that poem from? Where it goes on and on and on, and then it ends with, or that's what Abraham Lincoln says. And then it goes on for a while, and that's, I don't know. So this is the pen I repaired for a customer. Pen that I let out of my desk a moment too soon. I could have maybe tweaked it a little bit more in my possession initially, but had I tweaked it and got it to this point, I might have said, I'm not going to sell this pen because I'm going to keep it for myself. But it was one that I had just received the nib of. It's a Victorian nib. Ignore the holder. The holder is it's perfectly good for this pen. It's one of these very off-brand pens made in the early 1900s that was meant to look like the fancy ones that the fancy companies sold, and they're quite undesirable by pen collectors. But I like them because they provide really, really good bodies for Frankenpens, mainly, well, two reasons. They have their eyedrop fill. They don't have an inner cap to get in the way of anything. And they did have steel nibs in them. And the steel nibs were thicker, and consequently, when I take out the rusty steel nib, I can put a gold nib in using the original feed, and which I don't know if I did or not. I may have used a different feed here, and it'll work fine most of the time. Some of the time. Occasionally, it'll work fine. It'll work okay. So I don't have use for this. This is what happens when something goes wrong. We hold a little service and we bury them in the backyard next to the cat, the parakeet, and the spider, the gerbil. The alligators that died just get flushed down the toilet. Oh no, they get flushed down the toilet alive and then grow into big ones, which is one of those urban myths. Just like Trump won the election. That's an urban myth. Or something. So I selected the 3 top pens, which turned to 4 in my case. And for the Appleboom pen series, and what I tried to do is to sort of give the viewer an overview of what interests me in pens. And one of the things that I like about pens is selling them to you, or you. I don't like selling them to you. You're just a pain in the butt. But you 3 guys and a couple of names. Now I like selling pens to the user, and I don't really. There's not anyone that I don't like selling a pen to. I'm trying to think. There's 1 or 2 people who buy pens from me, and they're at the pen show, and they're writing on my very smooth paper, And then they go home and then they write on their really shitty paper and they wonder why the pen doesn't write as nicely as it did, and they want to return it. And I said, well, I'm happy to take it back. I don't want it to be in your hands if you're going to take it, drive it along a piece of crappy paper. That's not making the pen happy either. So, but I explain nicely that the pen, you have a beautifully created, manufactured pen, and don't be stingy when it comes to paper. Oh, paper's so expensive. Yeah, okay. Deal with it. No, you can. There's some very inexpensive paper that will work perfectly fine. It may not be the paper that you like the best, but you can, if you search, don't go to the first aisle at Staples and buy the ream of whatever it is. You might have to go to the second aisle in Staples and buy the ones that are used for resumes. Or maybe you want, there's some crappy paper or inexpensive paper, I'll say. The crappiness and inexpensiveness of it, you may not notice now or tomorrow or the next day, but 10 years from now, when you look at that piece of paper, it will have turned yellow, perhaps, because paper that's made with acid as part of the construction, it'll turn yellow. And what good is that? I mean, it's fine for today and tomorrow, your grocery list, the letter you're sending your ex-wife, telling her to, well, I won't say what you're going to tell your ex-wife. I think you have choice words. But, they can be on shitty paper. In fact, it might be better that they're on shitty paper. If I had the energy to get off the couch, I'd come over and kill you. Because that, should someone find that subsequent to finding her dead body, you might be in trouble. But you have to wait for 10 years for the paper to start dissolving. So what am I doing here? I'm taking a perfectly good piece of paper and completely covering it with scribbles. This is another thing you can do. If part of your enjoyment of using a pen is just to drive it around the block, when your dad, back in the olden days, when this was a thing, your parents would get a new car and, oh, it's time let's go take a ride. And we'd all say, goody, 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 goody. Usually it was on a Sunday morning, which meant we wouldn't go to church. So that was always an important part of why we like to do this. So my brother and I have another brother now, but when I was quite young, it was just the two brothers in the back seat and mom and dad in the front seat. And we'd drive across the river, across the lake, this sort of swampy area, to a river. And we'd drive up and down this area where there was some farmland. And it was just a beautiful little drive. And that's what, we weren't going anywhere where we weren't going to get off and buy some groceries or toys or anything. It was just for the joy of driving. And that's sort of what I'm doing here. It's the joy of feeling the pen, listening to the pen. And this is a pen I want to sell, and I'm ending up loving it. So I'm trying to figure out why I want to sell this pen. When I was filming the Apple Boom series previously when I didn't realize that I had to do it in a reasonable amount of time. I was talking about the Skyline, I think, and oops, that's a spoiler alert. I told you what one of my pens was. And the power went off, and I thought, oh fuck, the light bulb went out. And then I tried the one next door, and that went out, and one next, then I looked behind me, and the lights in the other part of the studio were off, and suddenly I realized I did not pay my bill. I knew I hadn't paid my bill, but I didn't realize it had gotten that far. So, exit electricity. So I need to sell this pen so I can buy electricity for next month. Oh, hello. Todd Merrill is here, and Mighty Mouse is here. So much to add. What about paper? Would you like to join me and talk live about paper? Or was it about I was rambling on and here I have live people in my room? Or was it about Apple Boom pens? Or God help me for loving it. Is it loving this pen? This one is almost completely worn down. It has this incised wash. Maybe that's what made me think of cars, because these caps on these pens remind me of the cars from the early 60s. So with the Apple Boom pen commercial, I guess we'll call it, of me and my top 3 pens distributed high and wide to the great big world out there, I may get a number of people that want to buy pens from me. And so I'm trying to figure out a way to make that more easily happen. So one of the things I did was I replaced in my little work area here something I had made. It's essentially a 3 foot by 1.5 foot frame, and I nailed it. Had a wooden backing to it, big oak frame, and I think it held a gun and parts of a gun, because it had wires and hooks on it, and it was meant to be horizontal. And so your AK-47 and the silencer and the loudener and the bullets would be arranged or something. I don't know what was on there before. So it was this wooden backing, and I took leather squares and I sort of nailed them overlapping each other like this, so that they each are little pockets that I can put pens in. And I was going to arrange, these were the pens that I was going to be selling to people. And this is where I'd put, oh, this one Marilyn might want. Oh, this one is for Mitch. This one is for Friedrich. And I'd have little piles of pens for people, and they would be out of my way. They'd be off the table. They wouldn't get mixed up. And then where it had been put, it was in the way. So let me show it to you. Now it is no longer in the way. I need to find a light that can actually illuminate this. See if I can take this off without damaging. There. See? Now Effects Technol. Let's pretend Oh, I found a swan for you, FX Canal. You and Canada can duke it out. Oh, where is it? It's right here. So this could be the FX Technol pocket. I'm not, oh, the lever's caught on it. Okay. FX Technol. This could be Canada, and this could be Peter Draws. It goes all the way up there. So look, I can have like a dozen and a half customers. I could have 18 customers all waiting for me to get off my ass and go to the mailbox. So let me show you this swan. Or is it a swallow? It just happened to be in a drawer. I thought, well, it's a swan. And I know you like the ladies' pens, and the ladies, I don't know what you like. So there's a little bit of give. It's a tortoiseshell-y look. Of course, I can't see in the... It's a swallow. What I find very, very weird about the Swan pen is the levers are really, really long. And yes, a longer lever will make the job easier. You know, let's say you're trying to move your car. You're trying to lift your car, and here's your fulcrum, and here, you know, the lever is really, really long. This will be easier to lift up. Well, with a fountain pen, the lever, first of all, is pushing down on something. It's not lifting up. So you're not getting any savings of energy by having a long lever. You're just making it heavier. So, but the other thing is, it looks like it's going to be too long. You normally think of the fulcrum being in the middle of a lever. So here's, you know, our teeter-totter, and here's Stan Laurel sitting on it, and here comes Ollie, and Ollie sits on it over here, and he flies off. So you normally think of this in the middle because of the cartoons you watched. But so the pen in this case is like way forward. And then conversely, a what am I trying to say? A Conklin pen has this little tiny itty bitty lever on a big fat old honkin' pen, and it looks like it's not going to do anything no matter where the fulcrum is. But the inside of the barrel, here's the lever on the outside, and the lever is this dog-legged piece of metal. So the fulcrum is here, but the working end is over here. So when you do this, this does push down. It is cute, but it's like, you know, when you see the muscle man, you know, at the gym, and all of his ripped abs and his whatever the hell he has, and big muscles, and his little jeans, whatever, not jeans, shorts, what are those, gray shorts, you know, and he's jumping rope or doing whatever he does. Here's his little tiny head, and his muscles are just straining and moving as he's jumping rope. Then he takes a shower and he strips down, and there's this little tiny Conklin lever dangling between his legs, and it's very sad. A little Conklin lever on a skinny 98-pound weakling is sad too, but I do have to go into the gutter, don't I? Yeah, those little tiny levers, a little tiny lever on a little tiny pen, though, makes some sense because it's proportionally correct. Where is my little tiny wall? No, it's tinier than that here. No. Where's George? It's supposed to be here. There's George. No. Did I put George away? I think I put George away. See, here's another swan with a big... I'm sorry, this isn't... I don't know, is this a swan? I think it's a swan. Should I send this off to you, Effects Technol? This has a really cool nib on it, though. Really prickly fine. Maybe Todd. I did get a dip pen in the mail. Am I going to have to fix this and sell this? It's really, what's really nice about this pen, there's a number of things that are nice about it, is the metal elements of it seem really fat. And and I think they go over, this is over hard rubber, so it is fatter than like a wall pen would be, where it's just metal on metal. But it has this really prickly fine nib. Oops, I'm dipping it into water here that is in the way. So this is a pen that might fit better in the hands of Canada, because he likes fine nibs too, and he's in a swan kick right now. But there's the most pleasure, or a pleasure that I get out of this particular pen is posting it. It really is a beautiful feel of putting that cap on the back. It's a little bit snugglier than this. Maybe is what all of them were like when they were brand new, before 50, 60, 70, 80 years of capping and uncapping. Another thing about swans, so Mitch and Todd, we know that swans liked to make sure that you use the tiniest bit of effort with their big long levers. They also, the pens screw forever, and then it gets tight. There's a lot of threads or the threading is narrower, so you have to screw more than you with you have one to share. Let me was I going to show you George? I don't need to show you George. You saw me talk about that. Oh, I was going to show you a pen I did get the other day. If I can find it here. No. Where is it? No. No, no, no. Did I move it already? No. I think I put it in a box that is meant to go to my studio, because it had the pens that were meant to go to my studio. Did I move them to the studio already? I don't think I did. It's a pen that Franken pen I just made, and it was from a nib I bought on eBay, and they must have used their electron microscope to take pictures of it, because it looked a lot bigger than it turned out to be. So again, I'm just going to try, if I can, to turn on a light to see if it's here. Not there. Not there. It's not in here. Why am I even looking in that drawer? Hold on one second. Let's just see if I brought it. To my studio path. Well, I don't see it there, which means it should still be over here somewhere. It's a beautiful, well, the nib is not all that great, but I did put it in a very lovely holder. Sterling Overlay off-brand holder, which I thought I would show off. But also the very, very thin nib I thought was kind of neat as well. It's not in there. It's not there. It's not here. Is it on the floor? Is that the sound of the crunchy noise I was hearing underneath my feet? Fuck. God damn it. It was on eBay, so electron microscope could fit if it was a modern eBay seller. This is, what does LEC mean? What this is an LEC. Something extended covering? No. Todd Merrill knows, he corrected me on. You're my spell check. You know these factoids. It's really going to bother me that I cannot find that pen. Because if it's on my desk, it might just be lost and gone forever. I think it's here on this desk. Well, you can share as you're doing here with your typing. See this one here, the threads engage only 90 degrees maybe, lower end covered. That seems like a weird. It sounds like lower end covered. It sounds like they're prudes. In order to come into this store, you have to have your lower end covered. Lower end covered or no service at our pancake palace. I thought it was long extended covering. This. What does LLC mean? How can we change LLC to LEC? Liquid Liability Company Limited. This one has way too little screwage happening. And, you know, somewhere in my massive parts, I might be able to find a Waterman feed that is just one tiny bit shorter that fits in this pen. There's another way where you can actually take a little file and file it down. So I've done that before. Okay, where's this pen? It's driving me crazy. Let me just try one more time. Did I accidentally put it with? This is Europile Effects Technol, by the way. You want to just look at it for a while and drool. Long, elongated, capped. Another one. Another one. Okay, it's not there. I can see that it is not there. Okay. Okay, who wants to? Mitch, do you want to join us here? Mighty Mouse, did you get your act together and figure out how, you and Mitch should figure out right now how to get you broadcasting. Okay, it's not here. It's not in this box. It's not in this box with a fox. It's not in the box. Is it in this box? Look again. It's not in this box. Didn't put it in there. It's not in this drawer, which was open. And something fell down. Well, the thing that fell down was the pen. Yes. Okay, do you want to see George? Since we're here. Fuck. Here's George. Now, George's liver on George looks humongous. He's the 98-pound weakling at the gym taking a shower, and he trips over his wingding walking in, and everyone laughs at him for that. But that's cute. It's a little wall number 0. I have to zoom up to the electron microscope size. Mitch is making food. Todd Merrill.
Oh, that's okay. All right.
I see your ceiling.
You do, and you see me looking perplexed.
I see your ceiling, and I see the rest. More of you now.
Well, that's good. I hope.
What happened?
I don't know how to. Oh, please go on.
Come on, what? What are you trying to do?
No, I just said, please go on. It's fine.
Okay. I'm just trying to. I found the pen. The pen that fell on the floor was the pen that I wanted to find to show you. And already it's disappeared.
Darn it! That's not good. That's not good. Gotta fix it. Gotta fix it. I just wish I could figure out how to change the cameras on this reliably.
Well, that's the thing that sometimes there's some trial and error. If there's a way to maybe change it before you join the stream, is the way it works.
Okay, in retrospect, that makes a lot of sense, and that's really frustrating because I really wish that had been the case. Gosh darn it!
Well, you can leave and come back.
That is well. How about that? Well, okay, fine. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Okay. Let's see if this works again. Where did the pen I just had in my hand? Paste. Is it up in front of my eyeballs here? It's not here. It's not there. It's not here. It's not that. It's not this. This might go in your pile. This might go in your pile. It's not here. Doesn't have a clip. It could have rolled away. Okay, try that one. Meanwhile, I'm going to try to find this pen again. Where did it go? It's not there. It's not in this thing. Is it on the floor? Did it fall on the floor while I was... Here it is. It's right here. It did roll. Bless. So effects technol. We've got a number of pens here. I'll take a picture of them. I'll put prices on them. You can tell me what you want and what you don't want. And I'll try to do that maybe later today. And between that, this second and that, okay, add to stream. Look.
I think. Okay. All right. It's finally working. It's not hard. You're right. It's simple. It's just new-ish.
Okay, and I see you have your noodle box holding up your.
You're like it's so awful.
I think Todd, if you and I were in charge of NASA, the Saturn V rocket would, have a front porch on it, and it would have
that's great.
a drive-through at one end, and it would have.
Oh, that's so cute.
It would have a tire swing. It would have.
It's too comfortable. It's lovely. Look, I can't look. I want to do this. Like, I love this as a group. This was like my afternoon in Boston, and I went ape shit and bought cool shit like a nut, and I just fell in love with everything in, like, I don't know, 2.5 hours. And it was like, I know you, I trust you. There's a rapport, there's a relationship, and let's just do it. There's still stuff to be told in here. It's fun. I hate to break up this as a group. You understand the grouping, right?
Well, I understood. I didn't look at it like it was an Ikebana flower arrangement.
Oh, nice.
You didn't go there. I mean, I know one of the pens you bought there was a surprise to everyone that it even existed, let alone that it belonged to you.
Oh, that thing. Yeah, well, that is crazy. And well, you know what? And here's Rob's getting all. I love Rob. Yeah. Like, I love you. I mean, we have this really bizarre, like, oh wait, we have the really strangest, most different ways of looking at the same experience.
Yeah.
For a long time. And, you guys have been louder about it more consistently in the past 20 years than I have been. I mean, I lost a lot of time, but we were there in a lot of ways at very similar times. And, and Rob is like, oh, it's got a black section, right?
I mentioned that. I said that was the thing that I thought was, if it had not had a black section, and I don't think there's anything wrong with the black section. I think it's perfectly fine. But that was the thing that, because I'm so used to seeing a Ripple section on a Ripple pen, that it seemed a little bit odd, but only the tiniest amount. What really seemed odd was the fact that it has an Aiken Lambert clip on it. You expect it to be a Waterman, and it isn't. So it's a little surprise, and then and that's what I like about it. So,
and then hold on, I'm doing a bad job of this. I apologize. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to make it happen at 1,000,000 o'clock when I'm.
Another thing, Todd, while you're trying to find the right angle, the other thing about that pen that I really, really like, it has nickel trim, right?
Well, that's what I'm trying to show off. Is like,
yeah, it's nickel instead of gold, and that is so sexy when you see that on a Ripple pen or on a pen
especially, you know what? It's even better than, you know what it is? I'll tell you exactly what this shit is.
Okay, explain it. Explain it to me.
This isn't even fancy Waterman shit. This is reality. Like, vintage old shit collector. This is German silver.
Okay.
That's what it is. It's nickel that's been stabilized with a
Okay.
little bit of zinc. So it's this like cool. It's like fake poor man silver that never really patinates ever
Yeah.
in the
But it
20s. It's
also
such
never it also never ever really shines. It
exactly
it has
right. It's this.
this
Yeah, it's this.
dull.
It's a beautiful mid-tone that glows. It's like what the fuck? It's like it's
Yeah.
compressed. The dynamics of the
It's
light
yes. It
are
it
compressed,
one of the
right?
things that I hate about Nathan Tardif's pens is his
Mm.
chrome. He wants it to look like a car from 1964. The chrome is just so blindingly chrome and cheap
Right,
looking.
right,
I said,
right.
can you make this out of nickel? Can you make
Oh
these
yeah,
clips out of nickel? Because it would be the pens would have a warmth to them that the chrome just takes away.
there's no question about that. And it's for me, it's a really fascinating dynamic between. Isn't this really a great example? Well, sure, but come on, we've got to use this stuff. I like coins too, and
Yeah,
and old. I mean, and I'm not that. That sounds kind of pornographic because it's all about the intrinsic value about something. It's like, oh, I'm made out of gold and I'm stamped in a certain way from a certain period with a certain lineage and history
uh-huh.
that can be, referenced. And part of the allure with this stuff is it has some of that stuff. Like, oh, I was made from this time to this. What do we know about this pen? It's a question mark.
Yeah,
There's a lot of guessing about this pen. That's why it's interesting. That's
yeah. No, I,
why
I like it's I like it because it's
it's an enigma.
on the evolutionary tree. It's like finding a platypus, but not understanding not understanding how DNA works and things like that. So where do we classify this? Is this a duck with fur, or is this you know something else? And it's just really, really fun to speculate about that. Now, maybe somewhere in the deep, dark recesses, someone will find someday, or if you're uh,
You know,
David Isaacson, he'll he'll
oh
go to
God,
his,
that guy.
his he'll
You
go
know,
to his archive and he'll find the 18 catalogs from the Aiken Lambert company that show that pen. You know, the
you're
nice
you're
thing
you know
about
you're
people
you're killing me.
the nice thing about people like David Isaacson, if we can
That's
say a
fine.
nice thing about someone like him, is when he shows off, he likes to show off, and he
He
also
does.
has really
Really.
nice things that he shows. If you just
Oh,
ignore the caption underneath, or the fact that uh, or the title of his he'll show something like these pens,
this
and
is
he'll say
fucking.
from my junk
uh,
box, or
Yeah,
something.
right. Right. The horrific condescension and I had to take a turd in the middle of like doing my 13th, you know, 27-hour day, eyeball to eyeball with these Wuhan bug sufferers. It was
Yes,
just like, like one after the other of like every goddamn awful imagining, that's
yes,
completely broken about everything that could possibly be happening right now. Just to be an asshole, just to be provocative, because he's actually in real life not even that interesting and doesn't really have a life beyond the fucking garbage bags of discarded vacuumatics with flexible nibs from Jamaica. You because because no, and there's like, oh, third rate Montgomery Ward. Oh, that shit. Oh, that's
yeah.
terrible. You know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so let's
All right.
let's avoid
Is
him
this
for
any good?
just a moment. We've got our David Isaacson spouting off now. You implied in your showing us your bouquet of pens that
do you
is
see
there a
anything
rhyme or
improving?
reason to it that I'm missing? Because I didn't.
No, it was just everything that was perfect about every pen that I saw, and uh, connected with everybody who I knew. Here's I mean, this is going to get its own big video because you had to make this huge.
Oh,
You're
the
pretty.
star pen. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have fun with this. You know what? I
It,
think.
yeah.
Well,
Just be careful.
I think.
You have to be careful with that one.
No, well, listen. Look. Mike and I have
don't you dare cross a T with that pen. It just there's something about that pen that just seems there's a very the nib is so uh flexible that you
right.
want to
Right.
press down a lot, but it also doesn't know how to say, okay, you're pressing down too hard.
Oh,
It
are you kidding? But did you see my silly black and gold that I got from Mike Daigle for like 3 years ago?
I don't know. You may have.
Well, it's silly. It's like a 1984 Buick Park Avenue that's like power everything, and you blow on the steering wheel and you oversteer.
Yes.
You sneeze. You're like, achoo! I drove this car into a Jersey barrier because there was like a bright bit of sunlight.
Because a butterfly flew by in
Right.
in North Carolina, and I know
Right.
that everything.
I'll fucking chew. Like, hold on. Do you see? Is this getting bigger or not?
It's not. I don't know what it was before. I wasn't looking. I mean, I'm seeing it enough that I'm fine with it.
Okay, so that's not what it should be. There's something wrong here. It's too bad. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, I don't know how. Oh, now you went away.
Okay, I'm back. Oh, all right,
you're back. Yeah. Anyway, back to your bouquet.
Big sigh. I apologize. I just.
Okay. No, your bouquet. You made it sound like other than the fact that this is your postcard essentially from your beautiful weekend visit to Boston, and you want to keep them all together to
commemorate.
You haven't taken your family picture yet of you standing in front of the Swan Bridge but at some point they're gonna be dispersed and go to other locations, right?
Well,
they'll find other boxes.
Well, that's part of the problem. I mean, you do realize that. I mean, I was born in Worcester and I went to Berkeley in Boston. Yeah. I mean, I have such a relationship with Boston that it's like, do I really have to commemorate the fact that? I guess I do, because I guess there have not been any.
They're still in the same box. Well, you should just have a drawer. These are pens I bought at the Boston Pen Show.
That's what it is. I mean, it just. I mean, I don't care that there are like, what is it, 5 slots that are empty or 4 or something. Yeah, it's 4. Like it's like my little time where I just had the most beautiful time with all of you, and you're one of them. So, well, I did.
Yeah, no, it was a really fun time, and I'm glad we went out to eat. Sometimes I just, after a pen show, I just want to go home and hide under the bed.
I know what you mean.
I spent too much money. I sold pens I didn't really want to sell, and I'm depressed now. So I'm gonna go hide. But and then I often wonder, among the worst people I imagine to wait on as a waiter would be a bunch of pen people after a pen show, because none of them really want to eat. They just want to talk pens, and they do want to drink though, usually. And but they've got pens and paper all over the table, and they don't want to move it to make room for their platter of fries and fish and chips and stuff. They forget what they order, and then they move their chairs around so the waiter doesn't know where you are anymore. And
right.
So as a former waiter and as a person who has gone to that establishment before and will go there again, I sort of was
even worse.
We were good
customers. Yeah, right. But please don't remember this when I come back, because I will, and I mean it in good spirits. I mean, I'm not trying to torture you. I mean, I actually like you. I apologize had this been not what we had hoped for, but you know, it happened. I can't. There's a way to zoom in,
Yeah, that's
and
okay.
I don't know.
We can see enough, and I know most of us know from far away, looking at a pen, what it would look like up close. We have a sense.
Yeah, right. Had it not sucked entirely, I mean, shit. I mean, how do you? I apologize for my terrible. Oh God, is this no? That's that.
Oh, now you went away. Mitch, would you like to come on board here? You're welcome to come. I need to make some coffee, so it would be nice to have another person to physically talk with Todd while we're doing this. If Todd comes back, he might have run out of power. Anyway, this is the pen nib that I bought on eBay, and I thought it was much bigger than this, and it's sort of like a number 2 in length, but it's like a number 1, if it was such a thing, a number 1 in width.
Is that anything remotely close to okay?
It looks maybe a little bit bigger. It's hard to tell.
Oh, I'm sorry for the delay. That's
so. Anyway, you said you like me, but what? Or you like it, or was there something wrong with the dinner or the pen, or I don't know what you were referring to.
Oh God! Oh, none of the above. No. You were fabulous. No, I was just no. How terribly self-conscious. Like I'm so sorry. No, not at all. I was saying.
What was bad? Or what were you apologizing for? I don't remember even what the conversation was. Sorry.
Oh, that's terrible. No, I think I was apologizing for the lack of focus, quite literally and figuratively, and everything was very far away, and probably for any less than perfect experience with any wait staff who ever existed, because I mean, I don't think I even made it as far as waiter because I was too valuable as a busser. Like I was like, and not just a busser. I mean, I got like a raise as a runner. Like I did banquet work.
I see.
20 years. Have you ever dealt with like banquet crap?
Oh, sure.
That's horrific.
I was a banquet waiter forever. So
yeah, with giant friggin' trays, and I mean, I did it early on where it's like you've got to get 35 goblets filled with water, and you're going to drop all of them. And you know what? The faster you drop every goblet on that tray, the more valuable you will become to us.
When you say drop, when you say drop, you don't mean drop on the floor all at once. You mean drop you place in front of the setting.
No, I mean destroy by tripping, falling, bleeding.
Okay, well, I'm confused.
Leaving ice and shards of glass all over the, sharp, not sharp, but grippy rubber surface floor. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Literally, they were like, the faster you screw up, the faster you make a mistake.
Yeah.
The quicker we can say, okay, we're good. You're over it.
Oh, I see. You've got your merit badge for that. Now you can actually be a real waiter.
Yeah, you right. You suddenly have realized, oh yeah, that can happen. It's annoying. It slows me down. Oh. Like literally, it's not even like it's really scary anymore because it's terrifying. The first time you carry a big ass giant tray across I don't know what. A football field,
crowded ballroom, and
it's ridiculous. It's like, you're terrified. You're going to carry,
and then you're always terrified you're going to spill the soup on the lady's dress, but once you spill the soup on the lady's dress and you realize that the world didn't come to an end, even though she went to the hospital with third-degree burns and things like
Right.
that, at least
You are inured.
you're okay. The world is okay.
Everything is fine. You're done. You are okay. You are okay. Right.
Yeah. So anyway,
And,
back to your pens.
okay. All
Which
right.
one is that you're writing with?
Well, this is the
Star?
I wish I wish I were a 94, but I'm cooler than that because I'm not a 94. I'm this crazy Aiken Lambert thing.
Okay.
This is a cool little, and here's that, like, because you're talking about the 52X. I mean, I hate that naming scheme because it's really a 55. It's a 55 with a little nib. Like everybody, this is part of my my last video thing where, like, we talk about the lever filling system that's in the tens unit, right, or tens part, right, and the unit, it's like, oh, it's a 2, it's a 2 size nib, it's a 4, it's a 5, it's a whatever. Look, the nib was echoing the length that was expected for the length of the pen. Now, in this case, it's a little silly. It is a little silly. That should be a little bit bigger of a nib. A 5 would be huge. A 4 would be perfect.
Yeah, it looks like it would be a 4. I mean, that
when you look at the pen, look like a 4 to you?
When you look at the pen from the outside world, it looks like a 94.
Exactly. It does.
And
yep.
So
it's just a little bit wimpy on the nib lengthwise and widthwise. And then you look at the feed and you're like, oh, Aiken Lambert, you cheapskates with your little silly, that little
2x4, shaped 2x4. I know.
Not even. It's like it's lath. It's like a little friggin' strip that would be in your ceiling. When you have a leak and you have to get the, oh shoot, you got to unearth that ceiling from 1908 or 1905, 1904.
Move the horsehair aside to put a new piece of lath and plaster.
Literally, you should see. Do you really want to see my damn? Because I can show you.
No, I know what they look like. We're going to end up losing your camera angle and stuff, so we'll see.
You're like, no, please don't do that again. Please, this is slightly compelling. Please keep it going because I don't want to have to edit this or eliminate it because it's otherwise pretty decent. Please don't screw it up, Todd. Please, just do a good job tonight, just once. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, it's a fun pen, right?
Yeah.
Right. All right. Damn it. Look at the dynamics. I can't zoom in. I don't know how to do it on this app, or this not even app.
Another thing to do at some point is,
oh, I could do this, right? You want this, right?
Arrange your noodle box differently, or hold it up like you're doing there. Yep, perfect. Or they don't make these anymore, so you may have one. Get a couple of phone books and set it on the table.
Oh, brother. It's so much fun.
Or Encyclopedia Britannica,
I mean,
1968 edition.
What I just did there, you can't see it, but I'll just zoom in. I'm not even trying. I'm just like, you just, it's just like that. You just use the pen and it comes out like that. And that experience, I just don't think you can beat that. It doesn't take practice. That takes honesty. That takes connection.
Writing naturally. If writing naturally gives you the flexibility factor automatically, that's a great nib. Because it's pliable enough that it will do what it needs to do without you requiring it to or telling it what to do. It does it naturally. It knows how to be. Okay, what is that? That's a 55 or 56?
56. And this is finally, I mean, there are a couple of stories behind this. I mean, I hope this is, oh, okay, good.
Well, you
I'll
can
do
start
this.
the story. I can hear what you're saying. I'm just going to make some coffee. So you keep talking and entertaining
Okay.
the
So
people.
I'll entertain the people as you make
Yeah.
coffee.
So
Goodness.
so just I can hear you though. I'm in the other room.
Oh, that's crazy. What I just did there. I mean, I hope that looks like something to you good folks, you good patient folks. But look at this pen. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I haven't played with this in a while. Mike did an amazing job with it. Oh, good God. This thing's incredible. I mean, and Otto provided the nib. And you've seen this, I think. I think some of you've seen it. Otto Yang, who of course is Pierre's old friend, tremendous person, tremendous human being, and fountain pen collector, and everything, epidemiologist, and all this brilliant stuff. And kind of this artistic scientist, which is kind of my thing. I mean, there's a bit of science that I want in my art, and I want art in my science. It might be impure, but it's right.
It says something. I can't read your writing here.
Really? It's brilliant. It's
Brilliant.
fucking brilliant. Blimey.
Well,
Hello.
You didn't cross your T at the end.
Oh, well, it's one of those.
Brillial. It's a brillial tea.
But it's that kind of it's this tea thing. It's this
Okay.
that one of those.
I see.
Is that okay? Does that work for you? Are you okay with
that? I'm okay with it. You can keep it
nice.
that way. I won't stop you.
Are you punishing me?
I'm not.
Like,
I just was trying to read what it was saying, and I didn't see. I saw something that ended in
Todd,
an L.
you jerk. I'm sorry. You mustn't, Todd. You mustn't. By the way, did anybody ever say you mustn't? Like, ever? I have to wonder.
My favorite term like that is "you daren't."
Oh my God!
I love
okay, that's impressive. You've outdone me.
And I love how George Bernard Shaw spelled shant, SHA apostrophe N apostrophe T.
It's perfect.
Because that's how you spell shant. You need two apostrophes in one word.
It's so broken. Is this 1640 something enough? Those S's that look like F's?
It's good.
Oh, really? I thought it was impressive. I'm sorry.
Impressive.
I'm sorry.
It's a certain kind of lisp we have.
Right. I'm sorry.
I'm very sorry.
But this pen is stupid. I mean, you've got to play with. You know what? We have to have
when you see that in print though, those F's, you see it only unless it's a double S.
Right.
On the first one, and then the second one you see. And I thought, well, what sort of ruling? How did that ever happen?
It's like this. It's like, and here I'm like, I'm moving it's Massachusetts. It's Massachusetts, but I'm turning the F's into S's into T's because I can't help it. And it's just like, I'm from there.
Is there a drug you can take to fix that? I turn my F's into T's. I can't.
You know what? I'm an Eastern Massachusetts sufferer. Yeah, yeah. Look at this.
Of the
Oh, this is
the ST palindromic calligraphic disease. I'm the poster boy for the Massachusetts.
oh god, this has like everything, and this even has railroading. It's perfect because the pen is like it's perfect. It's like it's blurry. It's like it looks good and it looks terrible. It's like here I rubbed my thumb, like screwed that
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
Oops. You know, and over here
little
we've got
spill.
some right, and here we've got some railroading. It's like it's every possible screw up. It's like perfect and disastrous.
The word at the bottom of the page looks like you started to write Luftwaffe.
Oh my god, it's Sufferer. Well, have you ever seen what is it, Suffer in New York?
No.
Like just like that as a name alone is crazy. Oh, this is so. Yeah, I have to. This is crazy. Yeah, this is breaking up. It's dried out. Yeah, gotta fix it. Oh well. Anyway, it's who though.
So how going back to the star pen, how
Oh,
how do you how have you found that? What is
okay.
it all about?
That's an interesting notion. Let's check this out, shall we? Hold on. Do you remember?
Hmm?
No, I was going to ask you. Do you remember what you dipped it in? Do you remember what ink you used?
Oh, I have no idea. And chances are it was more than one ink. And chances are at the pen show I dipped it into something, and who knows why.
Do you want me to actually do that? Do you want me to just say screw it? I'll contaminate my.
It has any number of inks.
Oh
Probably
God.
mostly Waterman, but it could have.
Well.
I had those
Oh man,
quart
what a
bottles of
mess.
ink at the show that were watered down,
Oh,
and that could have been part of it too. So
you know what I could do? I could start with just getting it wet, but that's crazy.
why?
What do you think?
Just get it
Or
wet.
should I just dip it? Should I just what?
Just dip it. Just dip it.
All right, all right.
It's not going to harm the pen.
No, it won't. But it's I'm just being all
If you're a purist with ink and you don't want one molecule of one kind of ink to get in the jar, then
you're killing me. Because I get it. I'm just oh. This is I want to do it all. I want to be careful and safe, and I want to
damn the
just use
torpedoes
it.
and go
But I
full
just
speed
want to
ahead.
use it. Yeah, I just also want to use it. So I'm I get it. Oh shit. See?
Yeah, see what happens?
Oh, damn it. All right. I've never really look. Oh God. You know what?
Don't you have to post that pen?
I do.
I would thank you.
But here's the crazy thing. I'm trying to figure out. I don't want it to leave a big pile of wet behind. I want it just to work. Oh, this is fantastic.
It's a very fun nib, but if I handed that nib if I had clones of that pen and I had 100 of them, and even at a pen show where people know better, half of them probably would press down too hard and break the nib.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is.
But you're not among that half. You really have.
Look at that.
You have to be.
Can you see that?
I can see that. You have to be very careful with that nib.
That's pretty good, if I say so myself.
No, it's lovely. It just,
I like this nib.
If it says, it says, "Daddy, you're pushing too hard." That's what it will tell you.
Oh, this is. Oh.
But it says it so quietly that that you really could easily push it too hard?
No, this is delicious.
Well, good.
Yeah, this is delicious. This reminds me. I talked about this in one of my either too many or too few pen videos, but it's this idea where I worked for my father was an architect, and
Yeah.
he had a developer friend who had gotten a bunch of moving violations. Like he got speeding tickets, and he couldn't drive around the state to go to his jobs anymore.
Yeah.
So he needed somebody to drive him around. So guess who came in to the rescue? It was me.
I bet it was you.
It was me. And I was into these kind of things in the 80s when I was doing this, and I was a little bit of a punk and a little bit of a pothead. And I drove this guy around in usually his 1984 Buick Park Avenue, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it was, or 84, 85. And the thing was, he had a Jaguar XJ6, which I also drove.
Yeah.
But I was into this. This is going to sound really, really dumb and embarrassing in a way, because I'm such an art fag, in the biggest way. But there's something about pressing on the accelerator and getting that much gas in it right there. That's delicious. And look how fine, and here's the thing. I don't think I'm great, but I think I'm intuitive. I understand how people used this stuff.
Yeah.
And what it meant and how it feels, and and that's sexy. That's a really nice little nib. It's got a really delicate, sweet area where you can apply that gas, and that's very power steering, very power, whatever gets the turbo, whatever gets the engine moving.
Turbocharged.
And it kind of, yeah, it's got a lot of gas. It's got a little oomph, and it was not hard to do. It was effortless. But it has feel. It actually has feel. It's just really delicate. And, when you're talking about, I think you over the past, since you got that pen company, frankly, when you were in college. What a crazy experience to have. Because, it's like in my mind, in a lot of ways, it's like, oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? But it's also like, what a lot of responsibility. And I hope I can do something great with it, There's a lot to it, but I really felt a connection to what you were saying. I was like, yeah, because I didn't know a single person ever gave a damn about this stuff. When you look way back, because we weren't even the first, we were like the second generation. I was like a couple years after you, but like the people who actually got into this old stuff in the first place, and why is it interesting? Why does it matter? And there were a handful of people who were into it even before we were, and you're like, what the hell was on your mind? I don't know. Do you ever ask yourself that? Like, why were you even into this in the first place? What's wrong with you? Are you out of your mind?
No. Yes and no. I was using these as tools for drawing mainly, and sometimes for calligraphy. So I saw the need of more than one of something. Now, why Pierre Gustafson also has the collector's gene, and I have 2 portable embalming tables in my house here, and I haven't embalmed even one person, let alone 2 at a time. So there is that. So, and collecting pens is, a way where I can do both things. I can collect things and use them. So for me, I can justify it. People who have collections of pens, beautiful pens, and don't use them at all, I feel sorry for the pens in their collections.
I agree with you. Absolutely.
because
You know,
they're not at all appreciated. They're appreciated only so much. You have to put ink in the pen and put it on a piece of paper and write something or draw something. Otherwise,
absolutely.
it's just this piece of hard rubber with sterling or gold or have a nib. It's useless. Now, does one need to use an upside down Jenny stamp in order to appreciate
Right. Right.
its stampness? I don't think
Sure.
so. That's not quite the same. Coin collecting and stamp collecting, if there was the sound of an Indian head or Native American head, whatever indigenous person's head nickel, going down the vending machine alleyway, is if that sounded different than a regular non-Indian head nickel, um, you don't need to use up that Indian head nickel. You can leave it in the little
Right.
drawer with its brethren.
But even
with
that,
a pen,
and I've had conversations with people who are into this. I mean, because I've got a couple of things that I'm into that are very, very specific, and of a certain period. Like I actually have one coin that actually its value suffers because it's so rare that there's not enough collector interest. Like it's actually at that point where it's like it's almost too rare.
I had a collector client. Actually, it was a job I had done as a gift for this collector, and he was one of the two people. There were two serious collectors of Maltese stamps, and this guy was one of them. And
right.
the minute that one collector got out of the business, it would make the other collector's collection worth almost nothing. Because there were only two serious collectors of this.
We're actually bidding against each other to raise the value of it in the first place, right?
When a thing becomes too rare, it does become, its value is so, it's much harder to sort of define. And
yeah.
I'm fixing a pen here with shellac
and stops my mind from wandering. Right.
Who else is in the room? I just want to ask. I see there's 3. The number 3 is shown here on the top of this thing.
Oh, this is number 3.
Todd, I'm very happy, first of all, that you figured out how to make your thing work here and how to get the camera in the right angle so that you can hopefully join us again or other times, because you in addition to getting it the way, well, most of my viewers get it the way I get it, but you express the gettingness a little bit differently. Oh, Effextinol is still here. Effextinol, would you like to join Todd and I on camera? So there's a big Conklin with a little tiny lever. You want to show us
It's
that?
really cute. I finally got one. I mean, I'm really picky. I mean, you know how picky I am.
Well, no.
You must. I mean, but I like these a lot. Oh, go on.
I don't know how picky you are. The Conklin.
That's cute.
The Conklin Endura series is, I don't know. It's like to me, I see just Marie Dressler. I see.
No. I'm glad you brought her up. Oh no, that's wrong. No. She's fun. She's hilarious.
But there's a big oversizedness of that pen. It's little tiny lever. and the hot dog bun clip that I've never liked on Conklins. I mean, doesn't it look like sort of a hot dog bun to you?
I think it's
There's no elegance to it. It's ugly. It's like the fenders bumpers on cars from the 50s.
I think it's a little
sort of-
I
bulbous,
really
but I do like the Conklin clip. I'll admit it.
Yeah, I don't think you're. I think. Listen, there are a couple of things where I think you're overstating a concern. This is one. I'm serious. This is one. The other is the patrician cap band. You
Oh,
destroyed.
I hate that.
I think it's more
the
interesting
picket
than you give it
fence.
credit for.
The
Like you think
the
it's
hose
you think it's
clamp.
that, and also the crimp for like a rubber tube thing. And I'm like, I could see it being.
Yeah, hose clamp.
Yeah, I could see you thinking it to be that in a way. I see it in a context of what was surrounding it in the pens, and I think it was a much more interesting design than that. And this pen, by the way, is not that terribly big. The big ones, I agree with you; they are pretty big. This is This is sort of like a Duofold Junior. It's a little bit skinnier. It's more like a special, which nobody's ever seen.
That's like an Endura, right?
Yeah, it's an Endura,
Okay.
but it's not like a giant one. It's a nice size, and I mean, I haven't dipped it.
I'm quite fond of that
So
shade of blue
I
myself.
just want to introduce you to Effectnol. You know Todd Merrill, right?
Hello, we've met
I've
briefly.
seen Todd around a few times, but I've never been able to be on stream with him before.
And
Good to see you.
Camo just joined us, and he described it as a baseball bat. There is a base. It's like
No,
a
there
short
isn't.
baseball bat, though.
There
It's
is
not
that.
an elegant baseball bat.
But this is reasonable. I mean,
it's
my hands
our-
aren't crazy.
It's hourglass shaped, kind of.
This is a reasonable pen. This is, I mean, my hands aren't huge, you know that, and it's a nice size. It's a comfortable size. I don't disagree that they made some big ones, but this one's a good one. This one works well.
Yeah.
I like it. I'll get the hold on. I gotta
So
get the blue ink.
Como, are you? Todd Merrill, we've played the dinner party game, haven't we?
I think we did briefly a long time ago.
Well, it was who you would invite to the dinner party.
Oh my God, it was good. It was good. I saw it briefly
I just
in some. I'm sorry, I was going to say in some video of yours I saw a while ago.
I just wasn't sure whether you and I had played this yet. I could look it up. I've got my reservation book here handy.
Oh, have you? No. Well, I was going to say that's how I knew that we had. I'd
Nice.
watched some video of yours.
What's that?
Some time ago. No, I was saying.
What is that?
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, this is a Wasp Point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's one of the only
Okay,
Wasps I have, and it's a steel Wasp pen,
Yeah.
steel nib.
Peacock blue. Look at this
Ooh, Encre
weird
Bleu.
pen that's destined to be in my collection here. It's another Wasp product or a clipper.
Oh, is that
It's a Wasp.
the skulls
So-
one?
It's a Screaming Souls one, but it has a clear end,
Well, that's cool.
and
Oh,
it
that is
fills
pretty neat.
by ringing the sack. So you put this.
Oh,
you-
it's like
you
a
glue
twist filler. Yeah.
twist filler. So
Yeah,
this is the
color. Yeah.
this is the ink windows in the back.
I never knew they made Wasp with the that twisted the sack like that.
Well, this is a nice nib. It's a twist filer.
Hello, Como.
wrote-
Twist filer.
Como.
I wrote filer.
Okay.
I have a
Not a twist filler, but
Little
a twist
streamline
filer.
dual fold
I
here,
wrote filer.
and
Apparently,
I
I can't.
converted it to
Okay.
be a dual fold deluxe nib, even though it's not technically
Oh, nice.
a deluxe because of the two cap bands. Well, it was like pin show and tell this morning, so I figured I'd
Right.
take some stuff off.
It's there's too much to it.
There's an older one, Duofold Junior.
Nice.
This thing's got a big stubby medium on it.
That was my first pen, my first fountain pen. 1928, Duofold Junior.
Yeah.
Great pen.
And then I have its bigger brother, the Duofold Senior, and it's got one of these later Vacuumatic style nibs.
Oh, that's a cheat. They're cheating. They're cheating. But they're amazing pens. They're so
You guys
smooth.
are
They're so good.
lucky because you have the benefit of the top-down desk view, whereas all I have is a laptop with a webcam.
Como?
Yeah, I haven't seen the
Really?
Como person write anything
Fuck.
else in the chat.
I mean, you're so
I just
clean
put-
and Midwestern here, but you would love the word fuck. I mean, if I were to do, I mean, you really have said fuck a lot in your videos,
I do.
more so than
I say
even
it a
I
lot,
have,
and I
and
mean
I
it.
think I'm obscene.
I say it a lot, and I mean it. I'll tell you what I just did. This
What'd you do?
this is a stub nib on a Parker 51, and I just broke one of the remaining tines off of it. So is that
Okay,
deserve the
that's
word
a
fuck?
big fuck. That's a really fucked up fuck. You're right.
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
But what this is, I'm just looking at it under the. It was a Nathan Tardif Frankenpen that he made for me, and it had either 3 or 4 tines to it, and each one had a golf
It
ball
had
of
4 tines.
iridium.
I'm sorry, but 4 tines is hilarious. I'm sorry. That's funny.
So they were, I don't know if he used super glue to put the iridium on the end of the nib or what, but I lost one of the other tines a few years ago, and I just
Oh my god! I
was
lost
trying to
one
see
of the tines a few years ago. What a horrible nightmare of a sentence to hear ever uttered.
you
Like-
wouldn't imagine the little skinny Parker 51 feed could even supply ink to like 3 or 4 tines, because it's just a
Well,
little stick in there.
Oh, this thing is nuts. This
Well,
pen is
but the thing
crazy.
with the 51 is the collector holds so much ink. There's
Yeah, that's
always
true.
ink
The hood and collector
in
kind
that-
of makes up
in the
for it.
front, in the bow
Oh,
of
this-
that.
I know
this
this
is
is way
amazing.
too modern, but I got this yesterday. This is a Waterman Corinne.
Oh, Karen. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Did-
it's some
did you-
limited edition thing. That's why it's white and black.
I was
but
going
it's
to
one
say,
of
did you
these-
use it to stir paint or what?
No.
The white in
It's
the
actually
back.
meant to be that way.
It's meant to be.
I
that
thought it
way.
looked cool. I don't know, and I'd wanted one of these Corinnes with this 18 karat. Is this really considered an inlaid nib? I guess it is.
Sort of. So,
There's
Como,
so much-
are you still with us, Como?
There's so much ink
That's
that it
pretty
actually blobbed. It actually blobbed on this incredibly smooth hydrophilic or hydrophobic paper. Actually,
Huh.
That's
That
crazy.
would be hydrophilic because it was absorbing the ink. If it was
No, it's
hydrophobic,
not.
it
I'm
would
saying
heat up.
this is actually hydrophobic paper. That's why
Oh,
it's
is there like a
amazing.
coating on it or something?
it's very smooth. It's Maruman Namasani. It's very
Oh.
smooth. Very smooth paper.
Como,
But I did
are you still? If Como is still in the room, I just want to ask Como if the name. I don't know if the name is familiar or not. I sometimes don't know my visitors, and I can't remember over the course of.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Como, but could have just been a drive-by YouTube thing, you know.
Well, the there was a, it wasn't accidental. He or she
Here's-
did say baseball bat with respect to that.
Here's
nib.
my little
Look at that
tiny
wall.
letter. You guys have all these awesome, overlay pins and everything, and I don't really have a whole lot of that similar
have your-
era.
You
Like
have
I got
your
a
Waterman.
52, because everybody's got to have a 52. I got this wall. I've got my
You have your
little Sterling.
452.
This is the one you gave me the nib for.
And it's an LEC, which means lower end
Lower
covered.
end covered. You got it.
Is this LEC? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it says it anywhere.
452
on
and a
there.
half V LEC on the back.
No, it just says 452 and a half V.
Okay. Well, was it called that in those pens, Todd Merrill?
Well, yeah, it was. I mean, they were just very small, but yeah, it was.
just-
Yeah,
didn't
this
have
this is a
room.
tiny little pen. And yet, when you post it, it becomes a normal pen size, or close to it anyways.
Right.
I mean, I've got pretty big hands, and I could still use this just fine. And I got this little Conway Stewart thing. This pen is hilarious. It's a little ring top.
Why?
Well, it doesn't have the original nib no more. It's got this
Oh.
huge, like double broad flex nib.
Okay.
This
Cool.
thing's like a paintbrush. It's so much fun.
Todd,
you
Todd
can
is
empty
showing
the
off
stack
his
in this thing in no
walls
time.
there.
These are fun because the one on the right is big and the one on the left is even bigger, and it's a lakeside, which are
Yeah,
Not
I
even
think yours
counting.
has the same pattern mine does.
this is
The
the check unique
chevrons?
pen. Yeah,
Right.
I've got a couple of these. I got one from Pura a couple of years ago, and this one's a big one, which is really fun. It's a number 4 size.
Yeah, I am
and
totally not educated in the walls.
They're a lot of fun, and and I understand the attraction to the, the Skylines. They're plentiful, they're affordable, they have great nibs. But I'll tell you, I like these even more. I just think
No,
they have-
they're much. There's more to like. Well, I don't know if there's more to like. They're quite. I don't think you'd ever call a Skyline pen fancy, but those walls can be fancy.
Yeah, walls are
They're-
definitely fancy, in my opinion.
they're fancy, but they're elegant too. Like even the feed is kind of skinny and narrow, but it's capacious, and they're just an interesting idea. And they do it. You're right about the way they post, the way they cap. They're not. They just feel like they're of a piece. You feel like, oh wow, I just made it longer. I didn't make it wider when you post it.
Well, just so you know what kind of collector I am, this is kind of my main jam here. I'm a Schaefer snorkel man. I have tons
They're
of
elegant. I mean, I understand the elegance of them, and those nibs are really cool looking. And they're very cool looking nibs.
I'm a total Triumph nib junkie. I don't know why.
No, they're cool looking, and they're you can't break them.
Oh yeah,
They're
they're
just-
indestructible. You could hammer a nail with a
Right,
Triumph
right.
nib.
They're tanked. Right. There's something kind of beautiful about that. There's also something really beautiful about a nib, and this is interesting about this 56 and this 100 year. They're thin enough where you can actually feel the paper as you're writing on it. Like it's actually the thickness of the pen actually acts as a conduit about how it feels
So
when you write
is
with it.
there a harmonic resonance that happens and they start to vibrate and hum and ink splatters? Every once in a while I get that happening where the
I have a
tines,
couple
the
pens
roughness
that-
of the paper and the tines that they start to
Yeah,
vibrate.
with certain papers,
Yeah.
the nib almost chatters. Yeah.
Right, it's singing. I mean, and I've seen that, and you've had a few videos like that. This pen is killer, man. What I just did with this right here, I mean, this was effortless, and it was just
Yeah.
that's perfect what you can do with this nib, and it's just thin enough, and it's like a Wall did this all the time. You know about this like sort of half stub? It's almost like a half italic or half stub nib. It's not quite a stub. It's just a little bit wider and a little bit narrower, on the cross stroke. And it's like, oh, it's so clever. And it's flexible. So it's a thin nib with a little bit of width, and it's really fine, and it's very flexible, but snappy. It's this really nice combination of attributes. And you can feel it. You can feel it when you're writing. You can feel the feedback, but it's just the right amount. It's not squeaking, it's not resonant, it's not making a tone or a physical sensation of being like a pitch. It's just like this kind of, you can feel the surface of the paper, but that's it.
Yeah, I've
And that's
spoken about this many times before, but like when I first started out,
Yeah.
I was under the impression that like the point of fountain pens was like ultimate smoothness. And I was on the hunt for, I want the smoothest nib possible. There's a time and a place for that. But as
right.
I've gotten more fountain pen experience, I find like appreciating feedback more and more. Like I don't care about having a nib that's like the ultimately smooth thing. The other thing is too, when you have a pen that's so incredibly smooth, it's like, skating butter across the hot skillet type smooth. You
Right.
lose that you lose fine control.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah,
you have a nib that's
I
actually got
require a little
feedback.
bit of
Right.
grip to the.
Right.
And it's funny because I've heard a couple of people make allusions to ice skating and certainly I've mentioned skiing and ice skating and also driving. And when you're talking about like ice skating, when people said, it's so smooth, it's like ice skating, I'm like, actually no, ice skating is a sharp blade that gives you this beautiful control over slick smoothness in a certain direction and really decisive sharp angling and cornering.
Right.
Control.
Your ice skate
It's a
only
really,
goes one way. It doesn't
yeah,
go
if
this
you've
way.
ever ice skated in your life, you realize it's a genius, brilliant analogy because it's both. If you go in a straight line, you'll go for 3 days. You just keep moving. If you have a little angle, a little curve, you will seriously cut into that and slow down and break. You'll get down. So you've got to control that, and that's why you have the sharp nubs on the top of your toes to give you the ability to push, because you lose a lot of speed on those curves. So you got to like pick up some speed. There's a whole story in like how that's actually made, how the tires are made on a slick little Porsche 356 from the 1950s, or how skiing works, where skiing is a really nice one because you have enough of that downward force that even when you lose speed just basically speed and momentum on the downhill from cornering and maneuvering, you still have a lot of speed because you're going down a damn hill. So you don't lose as much as you do with ice skating.
I'm
And
fascinated over here watching Pierre excavate this hard rubber barrel.
I'm building a pen out of nothing.
This is a off-brand pen that has a little lock on the lever.
I'll be back.
Huh.
So there's a little spring-loaded lock.
That's clever.
Which keeps it in place, and
it keeps it from getting snagged, and
so it won't. When you're putting it in your pocket, it won't, hit on the part where your fingernail would go, and then. So I'm trying to pull it out so I can actually fix the pen, but this tool only goes in so far. So I need a hanger. Will the screwdriver work? No.
Did you disappear, Pierre? It's just me. I have control of the room. Watch out, kitty.
By the way, I just have to share with you, and I have to go to bed soon because I've been up all night, you see. So you're waking up, I'm going to bed. Okay, this is why our paths don't cross more frequently.
Well, this is usually my routine too, because I'm disabled and spend most of the nights awake. So this is kind of like my late evening at this point.
Right. I
And
mean,
it's like
I
8
already
o'clock in the morning here in Ohio. So
right. I'm in Ohio, and it's like it's unreasonably late here, and we're not even like the easternmost state.
yeah.
We're going a little bit west, you know.
Yeah, they call us Midwest, even though Ohio is not really the middle or the West. I've never figured that out.
Right. It's getting there, but the funny thing is, it's a matter of scale, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's just so damn big. And by the way, I wanted to shoot. What is this one little thing? Oh,
Hey,
there's this
Nelson's
pier.
back.
I just
Yeah.
have to say this pier. I think this is
Yeah.
absolutely like strangely adorable. There's this little super subtle pronunciation thing that you've said a bunch of times, and this is like the sort of thing that would make somebody feel insanely self-conscious. And I don't mean to make it be that way, but rather to say, I think it's absolutely charming. There's this like the word bag is like BAYG. It's like bag. It's this
Big.
really, it's a really subtle thing that's absolutely utterly charming, and I think it's wonderful. It's just nice to hear you say it every once in a while.
I say it that way.
Yeah, it's really subtle.
Bag.
It's like bag is
It's
like bag.
my Midwestern Minnesota.
Yeah, I've noticed some subtle
Accent.
things that Pierre
Very
says.
very subtle, but it's absolutely adorable. I mean, I think
He
it's
does
really
have
sweet.
a unique accent.
No, it's very subtle, but it's like it's great. I think it's great. And here I am. I'm from Worcester, Massachusetts. I mean, I don't sound like I am. Oh God, Chad, what are you doing there? I mean, I don't talk like that at all, even though that's where I'm from. Oh my God, Chad, not Todd, Chad.
I couldn't even do an impression of that if I tried.
Worcester, God, what are you talking about, Chad? it's like that's. I literally have had family members who speak that way. It's insane. So, believe me, this is in no way a criticism. On the contrary, it's a celebration of this very subtle thing that makes you even just a little bit more interesting than being super from the exact center of the United States. You're not from whatever the heck town that is in Kansas. It's slightly off, which is nice. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with the world as an appreciation of where you're from. I find that absolutely charming.
I find it funny when people tell me I have an accent, and then I explain to them the particular place that I'm from has like the most neutral American dialect accent there is. Like we almost have an absence of accent.
Right. It's negative accent.
Right.
Where are you from? What town?
Oh, I live just outside of Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, that's
like
pretty
20
part of
minutes
America,
away.
though. Isn't that like really heart of America-ish? That's great. And it's not even. You're not in the city. You're not in the country. It's kind of like vaguely suburban, roughly, right?
Yeah, the place I live is very agricultural, and we're only like 20 minutes away from the middle of Dayton, which is a decent-sized little city.
Right.
I mean, most people have
Okay,
heard of Dayton.
look at the lever here.
That's nice.
So you press down on this.
So that's the little
This is
locking mechanism.
It's spring loaded so that it stays put. The reason I'm taking this pen apart so I can put a sack on it is the pen itself is a loop.
It amuses me that Pierre puts sacks on his pens when all he ever does is dip them.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I actually bought a lot of pens that need to be dipped because they're not really ready to go, which is terrible. Because that's like so not me, but I mean they were all like amazing pens. I mean they're
My collection is the exact opposite. Every one of my pens fill and write properly, or else I make them
I
work.
generally do, but
They're ready at a moment's. Your collection is like the Strategic Air Command.
Yes, it is.
They're all ready to go.
Once I get the
Mine,
alert,
you have to
the
wheel
bombers
them
are
out
ready.
of the. You have to wheel them out of the hangar.
Yep.
And okay, the reason I am trying to fix this pen is I found this little warranted number 2 nib that I thought would work really well in this pen. And
You're killing me with all this ripple. Gonna have to get me some.
do you want a ripple pen in your bag?
They're
you're
pretty
big.
sharp.
It's so cute. It's
Big.
big.
Would you want
It's
it in
adorable.
your bag? You want
It's
it
very
in your
subtle.
bag?
It's not quite that bad, but it's cute. But it's subtle, but it's big. But anyway, this was a nice little. I had a 52 in Ripple in the 80s that I still can't find. It was I don't know what happened to it. So I can't. This is just a 52V, but you know what? It's really pretty, and I was like, I need this, so I bought it, and it's got a nice nib, and it's pretty cute.
I mean, that's the thing. I like nice pens, but we were just having this discussion the other day how I would much rather have a totally junky, banged up, chewed on pen with an awesome nib than a super
I've got them both,
fun
let me tell you.
crap nib.
Oh, I've got them all.
Yeah.
I get it. But it's
The
just nice
beaters,
to have.
the daily drivers, and then you've got the show off prom queens.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, like that 55 that I got years ago, from Rick Propa or whatever I think that's how you say his name, right?
Yeah, I've bought a couple pins from Rick.
He's great, man. I mean,
The
he's just a
penguin
really nice
pin
job.
or whatever.
It's got this amazing nib, and it's an oblique italic. It's fabulous. And this one's really nice. I got this.
I'm an equal opportunity nib aficionado. I write with everything from needle points to obliques to stubs. I like it all. Because for me, the thing that really keeps me forever interested and entertained with fountain pens is just the sheer variety of it all. You've got
absolutely.
the inks, the nibs, and the conglomeration of all that when it comes together. You get a really unique experience each time with a particular pen, a particular nib, and paper. And
and this one was fabulous. I mean, it's a really nice nib. It's a really nice fine line.
Well, between the two of you, you are just totally blowing me out of the water with the flex nibs.
They're crazy.
A small amount of my collection is nibs with anything I would call flex. I've got quite a few semi-flex nibs, but that's the problem with me is a lifetime of writing with pencils and ballpoints and stuff has totally ruined me. I've been trying to develop the fluidity you need to really write with a flex nib adequately.
Believe it or not, they really, this is going to sound crazy, they complement each other quite well. When I had spent some time playing with these, vintage flex nibs, and I went back to pencils and ballpoint pens, I was able to get variation out of them that I hadn't before because I thought of them in a different way. It's not that they couldn't produce that. It's that I hadn't thought to try to produce that with them. And
okay, I'm sorry.
You know what I mean? No, but there's a really interesting relationship between them, where you don't think about that necessarily.
Yeah, unlike a lot of pen people, I still enjoy and use pencils and ballpoints.
Sure.
Even I'm not afraid to admit it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, "Oh no, ballpoints, ew," and I'm
Well, you can do some interesting stuff with them. I mean, I don't.
Right.
That's not like I don't talk about it much because I don't think. Yeah, I don't think that they're terribly interesting as a subject because they're so ubiquitous and everybody uses them. And but the idea of coming up with an interesting line with them, that's interesting.
This little wall has the biggest lever.
that is a huge lever. It takes up 3/4 of the barrel.
But it's huge. It's just small, but it's huge.
Okay, I found some more swans. Look at this
Oh no.
blue one.
I love it. Pierce resorting to like sheer amazing, fuck tons of amazing, goddamn it, thousands of cool as hell pens. You sly devil, you're cheating. You're falling on your huge ass amazing collection.
The problem with Pierre is that he goes and digs in his stash, and then he pulls out all these awesome pens he probably didn't even remember.
A very thin.
And he starts to fall in love with them all over again.
Yeah, you dastardly bastard, you. It took me how long to get this little swan pen out of you? Or swan pen, this little star pen out of you? You.
Oh, that little green one's pretty.
Well,
I wish I had a nib.
It took from the time you wanted it until the time you bought it. It was the first time we met face to face.
Nice.
That's how long it took. I wanted you to see it in person.
Nice.
Pierre wanted to see her little puppy dog eyes before he would let it go.
Oh, that's mean. Do you think it's really that cruel? Is it? Is it that bad, Pierre?
It wasn't puppy dog eyes. I just wanted to make sure that you saw that what it looked like before you.
It's a great little pen. And you know what? Here's the thing. It's a lovely pen. And you know what? You and I have this Parker Weidlich connection that we have to explore a bit more of. And you know, that star pen is a Weidlich.
Weidlich, yeah.
Weidlich it's from Sin-O, right? It's from Cincinnati, Ohio, right?
Sin-O, and O was abbreviated O. No reason to use the two,
or as we call it around here, the nasty natty.
See, now, right, because you're from like the highfalutin northern Dayton.
The carpet
the tire capital. Look, there's Connecticut and Ohio have connections. Trust me. I've lived all over this country. I've lived in New Mexico, Maine, Illinois, Chicago, and all sorts of places in Connecticut. And here's the thing: I lived 2 towns away from Seymour, Connecticut, where the HP&E Day Company was located, and they made pen parts for the Waterman's Company from like 1900 roughly, even a little bit earlier, I think, through the 20s certainly. And what's his name? Guys, Gary Lehrer lives in Woodbridge, who's like 2 towns away from me. He's like on the other side of Seymour, between like Hamden and Seymour is where he lives. So there's like this, and I met him there at his house, and we talked about these pens, and it was just like really cool to get this kind of sense of how a place where I had spent many of my formative years in my teens had actually made these parts of this pen. That was a big deal, like in 1912, and there was this, they owned like giant chunks of Bolivia where they made the Para rubber, or refined it. They collected it, and they brought it up to the Housatonic River in Bridgeport, and they brought it up to Seymour to get refined. And this is like a really interesting backstory of art and commerce. As a musician, I love synthesizers and guitars and drums and harpsichords and organs and all these instruments that people made for musicians who are themselves musicians. I'm a musician and I want to make a great instrument for fellow musicians. And that's what I felt like with a lot of these pens, is I felt like here's a bunch of people who actually care about writing and using these things and using them to write and draw and whatever it takes. And the interesting overlaps that occur where you are a writer or a calligrapher or an artist, a person who draws, a person who etches, a person who paints,
It's
and
interesting you say that because I've thought before many times how something like an aspect that really fascinates me with vintage pens in particular is that these come from a time period when these were actual like utilitarian tools.
you
These
bet,
weren't just
absolutely,
objects of luxury. They weren't just a show off piece. These were actual tools that people used in their day to day life. And they were made to be as supremely functional as possible. And a lot of that's been lost. A modern ballpoint pen costs $1, $2, or whatever. It's lost a lot of that, you know, soul, the longevity. These objects you can own and use your whole lifetime, multiple lifetimes now at this point,
right, right.
and they're
There's
still
also
usable for their intended purpose.
there's also a continuum that I find fascinating where if you look at a high-end ballpoint that's made today, it's the same gut, the same ballpoint mechanism as a cheap, inexpensive one, but with a very
Right.
expensive casing around it.
Yeah.
Whereas with these pens, there was a really beautiful continuum between something that was practical and realistic, generally, not always. That's a separate discussion, which I would be glad to get into with dollar pens and you know what I'm going to say, Pierre. You know about these. What do you call it? Shit. I want to say it begins with an I. The cheap, super cheap pens. The
Ingersoll.
the Ingersoll, exactly.
Ingersoll.
They're fucking pens and their watches. They were cheap.
Yes.
They were always cheap. Right. Morrison's was not quite as bad. Morrison's was a mixed bag. Moore was better than Morrison, but they were thin nibs. But if you took care of them, they were amazing. There's like these different levels and layers of how stuff was made and how durable it was. Schaefer early on made their reputation on, you know what, you can throw this, onto the earth from an airplane from 50,000 feet and it'll
You
still
could
write
drop
fine.
it out of an airplane. Yeah.
It'll be fun. Hell, the Duofold did that. Parker did that, but Schaefer just really took it to the next level. It's like, oh, you could use this, Triumph nib as a hammer and it'll write fine. So they literally just like, it writes like a dream, So you have these different layers and levels, and the truth is, a great performing nib cannot survive that kind of attack. It can't go like, You want to weigh in on this, Pierre? This is a whole conversation here. I mean,
I'm trying to make something work here, so I'm listening to what you're saying.
Oh,
It's
great!
like
It's up to me now, huh?
I remember the commercials for the Bic pen with Peggy Fleming skating, and then
Oh, right.
firing it through a gun, and
Oh, that's amazing. I remember a handful of pen commercials. I remember like the Papermate ads. I mean, this, because I'm at this like embarrassingly awkward age where it's just like the beginning of the new world and the very end of the old world. And, like fountain pens were totally before I was even born. Like they really were. When you were a little kid, they still existed. But I'm like 9 years younger than you are. So I'm in this like weird spot where like the last time
I'm only 39, so fountain pens were a total anachronism when I was a kid.
Wait, you were born in 89?
I was born in 82. I'm 39.
Oh, 82. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So I was 15 when you were born.
Right.
And Pierre was like what? You were like 24, right? Something like that?
I'm 65 now. You can do the math. I don't know. I wasn't listening to the years.
I don't even know. Where are we? You don't know what year you were born?
1956. I was born in 1956.
Thank you. Right. Oh, you're 11. Okay. Oh, but you're of Cancer. Okay. So you're 10, almost 11 years older than I. Okay. See, that's the thing. See, like Pierre as a little kid had fountain pens in his life. Now, does that mean he used them? I don't know. Probably not, but they still existed.
Well, they were
in my world.
alive. I mean, they were being made when I remember seeing ads for the 75 and thinking that was what I'll get when I grow up.
Yeah, a Cizelle or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I've mentioned this before, but when I was a kid in grade school, I hated ballpoint pens because of the constant pressure you needed to write with the cheap ones. And that's when I originally discovered fountain pens, because I knew that's what people used to write with all the time. But it wasn't until like 2017 that I turned fountain pens into an actual hobby that got me to the point I'm at today.
It's so funny. Because like I have the weirdest. I swear to God, I think I have the weirdest connection to fountain pens that anybody I've ever met has had, and I find it the most natural and obvious. And that is that it's yet another beautiful antique, another part of daily life that had existed at one time. That was
Kind of discarded.
just old. It was just it was just
Sextonal,
old
do you
enough.
want me to put this in your pile? It's a Parker Challenger kind of thing, and with marble.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, a Fextonol. Do you want me to add this to your pile?
Is it a
little
tiny
Parker
one or is it a
Challenger?
normal size one?
It's not tiny. It's sort of medium. It's sort of almost like a junior.
Yeah, I've been looking for a Challenger, but I had one that was like a ladies one that was super tiny. Yeah, throw it in there.
Throw it in there. The mix of everything that you ever wanted in one little box, right? That's great.
Oh, by the way, Pierre was 26 years old when I was born.
Crazy. And I was 15. It's nuts. That was a great time. I've got to tell you, when I was 15, 1982 was unbelievable. And I fell into fountain pens the next year. So I fell into fountain pens the year after you were born.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. I was a junior in high school. It was the baddest.
I don't know. I got to admit, though, when I was like 15, 16 was a pretty awesome time also.
Yeah,
For
of
me,
course
I
it
always
was.
look
Great.
back at that time as being the real hard switch over between the old analog world to the digital one. And I really
Well, I tell you, it was
the analog world.
Well, in many,
Mighty
interesting to mention that.
Mouse
I was going to say
14.
Crazy, but I'll tell you what's crazy is you mentioned the digital world. It's not even necessarily that; it's the electronic world, which had really happened and had really solidified. And I look at my own life, and I'm like, there's a really interesting connection between things that are very old and very modern, very new.
Like a lot of times I say that I belong to one of the last generations that were really truly familiar with the world before pervasive, everything connected internet all the time,
Oh, sure. That's crazy. It really is true. I mean, and it's funny because like I actually sold a bunch of my vinyl. Like I had an incredible record collection, which I actually sold, which is nuts because I lived for it. I mean, I spent afternoons at record shops digging through bins, and I sold all my stuff because I hadn't played it in years. And I didn't need to.
I still have my records.
Yeah, I still have a handful, a couple, but I mean, stuff that was absolutely extraordinary. And it had made such an impact in my mind, in my psyche, in my spirit, in my bones that I didn't even need to own it anymore. It had changed
the abalone one.
me.
Ooh, don't tell Canada.
Don't tell Canada. This is one that is one of those piston fills that.
Mel says she was 14. She said she was mad and a blue-haired punk when I was born.
There you go. Oh yeah, my God! And there was like, God, what's her name? Susie and the Banshees. I think it was like, oh, fabulous, great stuff. There was so much going on, such character. It's funny because I was looking at James
The
Brown
thing that
on David
bums me
Letterman
out
in
is that there is
1982.
this. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was saying it's just really interesting that I was watching a couple of videos of James Brown from 1982 and 1968, and how much had changed and how he had basically been like reborn, like he had reemerged as a new thing, like a cicada, the following generation later. It was absolutely amazing to see that change, that transformation in 15 years. But anyway, or 14 actually. Go on.
Just the thing that I was going to say though, the thing that strikes me as I don't know, really strange or notable about that time period, like around the time when I was born and maybe even later, is that even still in America we had this prevailing sense of optimism for the future. And like as the 80s were really optimistic, even with all the problems that everyone had. And like as the 90s came in and the 90s started wearing on, once we got into the 2000s, we just slipped into this melancholy kind of cynical, and that progression has only gotten worse to the point that we're at now in 2021, where everyone just universally accepts that we're fucking doomed.
I was gonna say I would just add one subtle layer, which is that there was a sense in the 80s that when you were being caustically critical of what was happening at the time, it came from a place of believing so profoundly in the possibility of what we could do and where we were going. And that, the United States and the West and capitalism and all of these fundamentally good ideas were good. Like, because a big part of what I found interesting like if I were to really boil this down, I would say that when I was like 11 years old in 1978, I was part of an adoptive a grandparent program, and it was Mr. and Mrs. Lamb. They were these folks in what do you call it, like an elderly home, whatever you want to call it, a nursing home. And they were brilliant people who were absolutely fantastic, and I loved them. And they were so, forward thinking and young and fresh and vital in their thinking. But they were already like, we need friends. We actually need people to keep us entertained and keeping our minds going, because we're living in this damn big building here, housed in some sort of like an insane asylum or something, or a hospital or something. It's just absurd. And they were absolutely brilliant. And I learned so much from them. And I learned about like this idea of, capitalism, and Eugene Victor Debs in like 1908 and 1909 and 1912 and 1923. And how capitalism as an idea was already kind of being challenged, in the first 25 years of the 20th century. It was already looked at as like a problem. And meanwhile, it was bringing something like the fountain pen to the fore. Like, here's a really brazen business idea that has a lot of potential, and it can bring a lot of people together, and it'll make a lot of money for a lot of people. So it's very capitalist in that regard. So you have this fascinating thing where I was becoming completely, alienated from capitalism. I thought I was totally disillusioned. This is garbage. And yet I saw early 20th century examples of capitalism working, where they said, you know what? You don't have to rely on this dip pen anymore that you can buy 500 of for 10 cents and they'll last you the next 30 years. No, you've got to spend a fair amount of money for something that'll last you the rest of your life and for your kids and your grandkids' lives. that'll be much more interesting, and it'll write reliably, and it doesn't have to be dipped all the time. And it's a clever design and a great idea. And it's capitalist, and it's great. And you're like, holy shit, this isn't garbage. Capitalism didn't completely suck at one time. So you get this really interesting insight into how capitalism, for a short time, kind of worked, but it doesn't anymore. So you have this whole story right there that you would never have thought of necessarily. It's like, that's really interesting. There was, when they say, oh, it was better in the old days. Well, they were kind of partly right. They were also partly wrong. It's a big complicated mess. But part of it was really interesting. It's like, you know what? They did some amazing stuff. They made money, and they made a good thing that lasts. And I can believe in that, by gosh, by gum. And that's cool. And I find that fascinating.
Products used to be advertised and marketed as, this is a long-lasting, durable product, and it will, you buy one and you buy it for life. Whereas now products are marketed as like lifestyle augmentations. You will buy this product because it makes you feel better. You'll buy this product because it makes you more attractive to women.
Both of you talking now and Mighty Mouse listening from afar have to watch a show called The Century of the Self.
Oh, fuck yeah. I love that.
Did you see
Talking
that?
about Edward Bernays.
Bernays, yeah.
Yep.
And have you seen this, Todd?
I'm embarrassed to admit that I have not.
Well, there's no reason to be embarrassed by it. It's something that it's called The Century of the Self, and it's a 3-part thing starting off.
Yeah, it's a documentary series made by Adam Curtis. It was actually produced by the BBC, if you can believe this.
I love it.
It's fucking beautiful because it goes from like the creation of PR firms essentially and the manipulating of mass consciousness to get people to buy products, to generate interest, to engineer consent, as it were.
Sure.
And it's a really good.
You'll find it fascinating, and capitalism was the way that that was what Bernays tried to make people want. Sexy. It's sexy to buy something.
Right. Well, I remember. I remember him now. Yeah, exactly. He had They brought him out every once in a while.
Bernays was like the nephew of Sigmund Freud.
Yeah. So, right. Yeah, I remember this guy. Yeah, that's crazy. Like he had a whole thing about smoking. Like he made smoking sexy.
Yeah, the torches of freedom. That he turned women smoking from being a taboo to being commonplace.
Yeah, sexy.
Because tobacco manufacturers were like, 50% of our potential market is, will not smoke cigarettes because they're women. How do we fix this?
Right. Let's make this happen. Yeah. And it was convincing.
Look at the nib look at the Frankenpen I just made out of.
Well, you dastardly bastard, you.
What nib is this? It's a Waterman Ideal. Oh, the reason I'll tell you why it writes so well. Outside from each side of the breather hole is a crack. So it'll write
if you've
like
ever
this.
Seen those Adam Curtis documentaries, you owe it to yourself to sit down and watch those sometime.
Yeah,
I go through and rewatch those like once or twice a year.
I don't know if you remember.
Told me about that was Russell Facemeyer.
All right.
Oh, really? See, I knew I liked Russell.
Russell is he's a font of all sorts of information, and he's a treat. I'm so glad I met him via Peter Draws. Was the video where I sent Peter. Oh, look at this! Is a maybe Todd nib.
Uh-oh. And by the way, that broken nib of yours just reminded me of that Waterman's 3 that I bought years ago, and I made a video about it. And it's just an absolutely extraordinary nib. But again, it's like the Pen Whisperer. You know, you look at it and it bends. It's absolutely glorious, but you know, you have to be sensitive to it. You know. Actually, this pen that I bought from you is a lot like that, except that it's not broken, which is nice.
The swan, the star.
Yeah, I love it. But there's something. Yeah,
Star
I've got to
White-
figure out. I was
I
going to say
have-
I've got.
one of my neighbors.
got a-
I think I've mentioned this before to my listenership, but one of my neighbors bought a. She wanted a flexible nib pen to do place cards, and I said,
Right.
"Try this one," and she really liked it. And then I looked at it, and I saw that. I said, "Well, let me look at it again, just a second," and it had a crack in the nib. And
Right.
the nib, I said, well, you can use this for as
But-
long as you want. When it finally breaks, then I'll exchange it with another one. I said, I told her, I said, I have a lot of broken nibs that write just like this. And she's had it for 3 years now, and she hasn't broken it yet. It still hasn't. It's still, even the crack hasn't gone away. The crack is still there. It's just that it has not
it's
yet
good.
broken.
But I remember hearing that, and I was like, "Oh God!" You know, when I heard that story, I was like, "Yeah, I can't even imagine where this is going." I mean, I just, you know, it freaked me out because I just knew that it was not going to be a
No, it
happy
hasn't
ending.
broken yet. It is not
That's
broken yet.
amazing.
That's the weird thing about old gold, how it gets brittle, because I'm assuming it had some sort of impurities or something in it when it was drawn out. Because 14 karat gold is an alloy of, 58% gold and other stuff.
But it depends. It depends also how it was used, how it was cleaned, how it was soaked. I mean, if you've got like a lot of iodine, you know, so if you're in a city, right, and you've got a lot of, you know, city water cleaning out that nib, there's a lot of iodine in there. Iodine does not play nice with gold. It makes it brittle over time. You can do it a couple of times, but you just don't do it.
Well, that's the
So-
interesting thing, is that the gold itself is like chemically inert, literally. It's the other materials alloyed in the gold that are susceptible to, leaching, oxidation, all the other problems.
Well, that's a way of looking at it. I would say it's actually even more interesting. It's that it's the alloy itself. It's not even so much that there's a metal that reacts. It's that the sum total of what it is reacts in the way that it does, which includes
Right.
certain percentages of what.
Well, I mean, to dissolve gold, you need fucking aqua regia. So
now you're making me laugh. That was
Right.
cute. That was cute and funny. Don't make me laugh. That's my fucking joke with my friend Patrick, is aqua regia. That's funny. Funny. Don't.
I had
don't
no
make-
idea.
That's a
What were you-
joke
what
for
was
me.
the joke?
That's a
Do I
punchline.
have
That's
to be a
funny.
chemist? What was the
Aqua
joke?
regia is funny. Good job.
Aqua regia. I don't
That
even
was
know
good.
what it is.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's horrific. It just makes everything melt or blow up. It's
Yeah,
just-
aqua regia is some bad stuff.
It's awful. And it's been around
Yeah.
for a damn long time. It's been horrible the whole time. Are you kidding me? It's
Well, there's
awful.
that story that somebody that won a Nobel Prize, and they wanted to, like the Nazis were coming. He wanted to
The
hide his
Nazis,
Nobel
the
Prize
Nazis are coming.
from the Nazis, so he dissolved it in aqua regia, and after the war, he
Oh, right.
cemented the gold back, and
I
he had
remember that.
his medal again.
Right.
Because all the
Well, it was
Nazis
just- it was-
saw was a
Yeah. I mean, it
bottle
was
of stuff
literally
on
just,
the shelf.
it was intrinsic metal.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, this nib is sick. I mean, this pen. That
I
wasn't
need
even.
a pen. I need a pen that says it has initials DC on it. This is the AC one. I need a DC one to go with it.
This nib is great. This nib is great.
Which one is that?
Yeah. What is
This
that?
is the 56. This is the
Oh,
Okay.
Waterman's 56 that I got from Mike Daigle, but Otto Yang provided the nib. That's sick.
Well, the biggest Waterman I have is a 94.
This pen is crazy.
So I
Yeah, this
remember,
is
Todd,
great.
a while ago, you said, I started watching your live streams and they go on for like 2 hours and I can't stand it. There's like, what can you talk about for 2 hours? So our conversation is 2 hours and 25 minutes.
But no, but my concern wasn't that. It was that it was every day. With
Well,
and with the same, like, I don't know, whatever. But look, I could talk to you about this for the rest of my life, and you know that.
I know that.
Well, it's perfect for me because what the hell else am I doing at 8:41 in the morning?
Oh, it can't be that fucking late. That's crazy. I'm sorry. Did I just say? I apologize. I am so
Oh,
sorry.
it's
I am
8:32.
so
I'm sorry.
sorry. I said that. It's going to be deleted. I apologize. But anyway. But is that okay? That's deep. Look at that nib. That's cool, right?
It's a delightful nib.
I don't know. That's my thinking. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Pierre, I apologize if I've taken up too much.
No, it's just No, you're not taking up too much. I just like the fact that the conversations that we do have, even if they are almost every day, can end up filling the space with interesting things. Now, not all of it is interesting to everyone.
Yeah, when I first met Pierre on this YouTube channel and started talking to him, and then I started joining the streams and all that, I made this remark that, the fountain pens are kind of like the campfire that we're all gathering around, but the conversations, go everywhere else too, concerning, life, religion, politics, even dirty jokes at times,
Well, I mean,
dirty jokes all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Am I finding more pens for your pile? I keep adding more here.
Uh-oh. I love how you never, ever, ever share a possible pen with me, ever. you have never, ever. I've had to
made a pile of Todd Merrill pens.
No, you will never do that, ever, because every pen I want is one that you want, and it's awful.
Well, you have good taste. No,
you're right.
So I have shitty taste then? Is that what I need to infer?
Oh, that's awkward. That is awkward. Uh-oh, no.
He wants pens that no.
I give that Aphex Technol the second rate reject quality.
No.
Oh, that's a good answer. Poor Pierre.
That's not what you're getting.
You know, I'm so sorry.
You know darn well that you're getting perfectly lovely pens. It's just that the really flexible ones, which is what Todd Merrill wants. See, Todd, if you just decide to expand your desires to include Schaefer Triumph nib pens, I'm happy to make a pile as big as you want.
One of my favorite Schaefer Triumphs is this pen right here.
Yeah.
And this came from Pierre Gustafson.
Yeah. That was a great pen. Yeah. Oh, look, you know what? There's a part of me that actually gets it. There is, there's a part of me that actually fully gets it. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's made like it's beautifully made.
And when I got this pen,
it's good.
It was covered in grime and grease and dirt, and
well, of course,
look how nice it is now.
If it comes from me, it has to have that. That's part of it.
It was like coated in Cosmoline, but once I
fire.
polished it off, I was like, wow, there's a beautiful pen underneath all of this.
There's a pile of grease and sweat and grime and torture and hell. It's like
some of the pens I've gotten from Pierre, from him dipping them repeatedly, literally had like boulders of ink crust residue in the feeds of them.
That's crazy.
It was pretty interesting.
Of crud.
Yes.
I'm going to give you a little bit of this while you contemplate
Mouse
everything.
says it is 2:33 p.m. where she is, and she also says we haven't played the sentence word game in a long time.
Okay, well, let's do that right now. Todd Merrill, do you know what this word game is?
I'm sorry, am I being invoked?
You're being roped in, yes.
I've been invoked?
Okay, here is the sentence word game.
Okay.
Letters are picked at random in a particular order, and then you have to come up with a sentence where each word has those letters in that same order. So the letters are B, F, C, M, O, P,
Yeah.
T, T, L.
Oh my God.
So B,
That's
F,
getting
C,
longer and
M,
longer.
O,
God.
P, T, T, L.
All right, hold on. All right. Let's fix this. Hold on. Okay.
This is a huge one, Pierre.
I think
And the
BCM
punctuation, you can use whatever kind of punctuation you need, but it has to be a correct sentence with a verb, and the noun has to
Like a grammatically
match with the
complete
verb
sentence.
and things like that.
Okay, so please forgive me. Was it BC?
B F C M O P T T L.
BFCMOPTTL?
B F C M O P T T L.
Got it. Yep. All right.
I'm stuck with the PTTL. I got everything else. It's Wasky Squirrel played this. Before I said the letters twice, he already came up with one. He did it immediately. It was really amazing.
Oh, my pen is writing. Oh, shoot. Hold on. All right. I'm dipping. All right. So this is poetic, and I'll have to rewrite it because I ran out of ink. Damn it. Hold on. 1 sec. Okay. So it's BFCM.
O P T T L. And this is lame, but I have a sentence that does work. I think you need to have a sentence before to help it work better. Fexnell, how are you doing on this sentence?
I've gotten 2 so far. One breaks the rules, but the second one works.
Well, don't break the rules. Rules are
Well, I'm
simple.
including
it has to
it
be
anyways
logical.
because it's nerdy. I have this problem whenever I see letters like that. I'm always thinking in terms of acronyms, and they tend to turn scientific. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'll share both of them I came up with, but
Okay. Well, I'll start with mine. Before
okay.
Fred came, Mary ordered politely the tomato lasagna. But that implies that Fred was very late and she was really, really pissed off. But she still ordered politely the tomato lasagna. Okay. Affectional, why don't you do yours? Oh,
Okay, I'll do both of
Mighty
mine.
Mouse, Bossy Frida can make oven potato. Oh, see, look at potatoes. Potatoes was part of my first one before I crossed it out. So we're thinking alike. Bossy Frida can make oven potatoes. They're tooth-wateringly lip-sticking.
Lip licking.
Lip-sticking.
Okay,
Right, here's
oh, go ahead, Todd.
it's BFCM OP
O TTL.
TTL.
PTTL. Right. So
PTTL.
TTL. So mine is because friends collect multiple opportunities pertaining to tattletale lore.
Shouldn't there be a verb in there somewhere? I mean, that sounds like the first phrase of something that should follow. Because
It's
friends,
collect.
blah, blah, blah.
It's because friends collect. That's the verb.
Because friends collect, what is it?
It's because friends collect multiple opportunities pertaining to tattletale lore.
It seems like there should be something that follows the because.
It's the whole
Or
explanation.
something
It's the
should
whole
come before.
explanation of why everything's being done. it's
I see.
it's a statement explaining everything that's happening. It's
I
because
see.
friends collect multiple opportunities pertaining to tattletale lore. That's the whole
Okay.
idea.
Okay. Very good. And affects technol.
Okay, here's the first one I came up with, but it breaks the rules. Biaxially functional, complete magneto-optical, polarized transistor logic. But that's more like
I
a
think that's pretty
description
technol,
of
didn't
an
it?
electronic gadget that doesn't exist. But here's the second one that I did that actually follows the rules. Between few churches, monastery operatives permit transactional travel limitations.
Okay, good. Before that happened, they just shot each other.
Yes. But that's what I'm saying. Whenever I see acronyms, I'm always thinking of like a description of some technological little gadget doodad. So that's where my mind always instantly goes. So I start using words like biaxially functional, magneto-optical.
Dirty hand on my paper. I've had my Zoom outfit.
But that's the word game we used to play. It's still pretty fun. Oh, Mouse has got another one here. Bus drivers from Canada must overtly protect their tiny legs. Oh, project, not protect. My bad. That was a misreading on my part.
Oh goodness.
Are you cranking out another one there, Todd?
There you go. All right, here we go. Oh, this poor pen. It's been so deprived of water for
Yeah, it
a
looks
couple
like
of
it's
days.
struggling.
It's
Bus
just a little
drivers
bit
from Canada must overtly project their tiny legs.
right. It's yeah. What is this? Beautiful friends create magical objects, placating terrible time lords.
I'm trying to. Here we go. I made one of my little diploma masks the other day.
Oh,
And
right.
Here's what it looks like. My diploma face, and I thought that reminded me of Marie Dressler.
I'm glad that I was able to bring that up to you again. I'm really glad. She's fabulous. Isn't she wonderful? She's hilarious.
Do you know the scene in Dinner at 8? I'll play it here for you. The last scene.
It's so good. I'm so glad I was able to bring that up to you.
Listen.
Yes, it's all about civilization or something. A nutty kind of a book. Do you know that the guy said that machinery is going to take the place of every profession? Oh, my dear. That's something you need never worry about. I wanted to think to all about.
It's great.
It's one of my favorite movies.
It's great.
What happened to Todd?
I went away. I'll be
Oh,
back.
okay.
I'll be
I
back.
just looked up for a second and it was black.
I vanished temporarily. I apologize.
We pray that you may rematerialize in the future. I was looking through I have this book here. My friend made this for me. It's a handmade, hand-bound book.
Oh, nice.
It's got rhodia paper. And this is what I've been doing with it. Whenever I ink up new pens, I do little writing samples with each one of them. So
do
this
the,
is the kind of nerdy stuff that I do.
You do
If
the
Pierre
wacky
accused me-
squirrel approach.
Yeah, Pierre accused me of being a librarian in a previous life, so
Oh, good God. I actually have to I've actually been up all night. I mean, literally. I mean, this is terribly entertaining. I think it's wonderful. I'm just
But you're
realistically speaking-
falling asleep. I also need to get
I
ready
should.
for my day.
right. It's
Um,
crazy.
Beastly friends can't make Olive play their terrible lullabies. Oh, that's very nice. You like this game, Mighty. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye now. So
sounds good.
goodbye,
Yeah.
everyone. See you later, Todd. Thank you for
Take it
joining
easy.
me.
Good to
Thanks,
see y'all.
I'm
Mighty.
glad to be.
See you
Glad
later.
to have.
Bye bye.
Take care. All right. Bye-bye.